Warm welcome to all participants, technological fans, technical nerds in renewable energy. The title of today's webinar is 100% renewable electricity sector really possible? And we go through economic, regulatory, and technical issues. This seminar is part of activities calendar of Compass. It's leading Ulysses to become a European University Excellent Model through research and innovation. With the Horizon 2020 project of Ulysses European University and the flagship for its research and innovation agenda and strategy. It is a pleasure for me to introduce a panel of experts. The first one will be Antonio Gómez-Expósito. He's a Indonesia Chair Professor at the Department of Electrical Engineering at the University of Seville. And we'll talk about this direct topic. So is 100% renewable energy mix technically feasible? The next one will be Roberto Galán-Vioque, Professor in the Department of Administrative Law, University of Seville. Will speak about the role of regulation in energy transition. When we move to Ángel Arcos-Vargas, full professor of engineering at the University of Seville, with influence of renewable energy in the electricity price and with influence. And the last panel of experts will close by Maria Bertel, full professor of law, Institute of Public Law and Political Science at the University of Graz in Austria. She will present the future and the present and future of renewable energy communities in the electricity market. But before the panel of experts, we introduce Innovation Hub by Ángel Trigo, who is Director of International Strategy and Associated Professor of Electrical Engineering at the University of Seville. So he will speak more about details how Ulysses Innovation Hub in energy, transport, mobility, and smart cities is working, because we are working a lot in different fields from research and innovation, but also on educational level. So we'll get a closer look to this. But from my perspective as a moderator of this event, I would like to focus on mega trends also in the energy sector, because they are here. We are challenging in decarbonization in industry. It's a different approach across Asia, like in China, where using or replacing coal to the gas, but also renewables. Middle East go fully speed on renewables, photovoltaics, and we do a lot in Europe. So we will talk today what's happening. It is going hand in hand in increasing energy security across Europe. We know that we have a massive transformation of automotive sector, so batteries and research development in this sector, education. We launched European Battery Academy, for example, in Europe, also in Spain, now in Slovakia, just few weeks ago. And we know that we have digitalization here, the economy is data-driven, and all this can help in this transition. And at the top of this is sustainability. So it's not, in nowadays world, it's not just a concept. We have sustainable smart cities. For example, we have been in Expo Dubai, and it's like hundreds of buildings in a community, energy community is working as a sustainable city. So we now know that technology exists and we go towards. So we will speak more details now. So I would like to give the floor back to Ángel Trigo, who will introduce first Innovation Hub, and later on we'll be back to the panel discussion and presentation of experts. So Ángel, floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you, Maros. Thank you. As Maro said, I'm going to really present the Innovation Hub of Energy Transport Mobility and Smart City. This is the Innovation Hub in University of Seville inside of the European Agency Ulysses. In each university, we have one innovation hub. It's the hub for concentrate all the activity in all the fields in education, research, and innovation that the life of Ulysses turn around the concept of innovation hub. Why energy transfer, mobility, and smart city? When the project of Ulysses was thought and was prepared for the proposal, the University of Seville, we asked to the city and to the regional government, and we identify the topic of energy transfer and mobility for the smart cities of the future, like the topic where the University of Seville can put more in this tax of engagement with the society. Because this is one of the 21st century challenge, and Seville is compromised with the environment, like the mayor of Seville is the chair of the Commission of Environment, Climate Change and Energy. Seville coordinates the European Committee of the Region Green Deal Working Group, and Seville is one of the 100 cities neutral climate recently chosen by the European Commission. And Ulysses, through the University of Seville, have a very high potential in this topic, in energy and electronics, building, and aeronautics, engineering, material science. As you can see in our position very high in the international ranking, that in Shanghai ranking by subjects, that these areas is positioned in the rank of 150 and 20 rank of this ranking. The objective is to create the Ulysses, an international leader in education, to create a collaborative space to improve the competitiveness of the sector in our region through the research and innovation. But through education, to give our students the specific competencies and transversal one to become leaders. And in addition, to create an international network for experts and stakeholders. Where we are, after Ulysses started 3 years ago, we are developing in these three years. We are analyzing and put the ground for several activities in education. We established the legal framework for double degrees. We are almost launching the first joint master in energy transport and mobility related with this innovation hub. The compromise is to launch 6 joint master degree, one for each innovation hub in Ulysses, and one joint PhD program related each with the innovation hub. Apart from that, we are launching another several educational activities in other formats like short courses, MOOCs, micro-credentials, etc. And we are now preparing the first launch of the joint internship program in coordination with our associate partners. And in research and innovation, we are identification, creation, and identification of the resource to develop the one of the main pillars of the innovation hub that will be the joint research center, the incubator for the spin-off, and living lab and open classes. this is the concept that we put into the innovation hub. One part is the educational one, other part is create infrastructure and concept for engage the society. The Living Lab, the incubator for a spin-off, the Joint Research Center, and open classes. And this is through the link of the researchers inside Ulysses through the app, the Mass Forward Cooperation that our researchers has, and this is a space for connecting and proposal project ideas. And as a result, we launched 14 Erasmus Plus and 22 proposals in Erasmus Euro programs. Going into the concept, the Joint Research Center, this is the main instance for Innovation Hub. As I said, this is the space for create the common research and the existing infrastructure we have here in the University of Seville. This is the Innovation Center of the University of Seville. This, when we have equipment and lab for the topic of transport, renewable energy, and energy storage, new materials, ecology, and sustainability. We are creating new space for transfer and innovation with companies in the Isla de la Cartuja area and the engineering lab for energy and environmental sustainability. The idea is to create a physical space where the life can be developed inside the concept of innovation hub in this topic. The Living Lab is a space where the potential actors can go together and create a space for demonstration, prototyping, and testing the result of the research and innovation and knowledge transfer in this topic of energy, transport, mobility, and smart cities. The joint lab to create the innovation in a real context. Looking for funds, we can do the projects in the next generation of the European Union. The incubator from Espinal, the idea is to give the space for people, students, and PhD or the researchers to create the new spin-off where this is the first step of the knowledge transfer, and we have there a space for the teams can work, and even looking for funds, we can apply for national funding, the federal programs. Regarding with the space to do that the society can participate in this innovation hub, we have the open class when we create the space for learning and knowledge transfer in coordination with the city hall. This is a physical space when we can put there some activities, educational activities, to bring the opportunity of the citizen to participate in seminars, even to put some classes of some programs related with the energy, transport, mobility for the smart city of the future in this space. One of the concepts that we use in Ulysses is the co-creation. All of this is designed and create at the base of cooperation where all actors can participate in the process of the creation. And now this is all on my side. Go back to Maro. I hope you enjoy this very interesting work. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Angel, for introduction Innovation Hub. Very important concept where recognition of renewable energy, digitalization is for practical application in region and visible to public, which is very important. We are working together in consortia with other European universities on joint degrees, joint master degrees, PhD degrees. So very useful for gaining new skills for young generation. Okay. So one more thank you. And now we move to panel of experts. I would like to introduce Antonio, and we go towards feasibility study. So Antonio, please, for yours.
Okay, thank you, Maros. I will share my screen. Wait a second. Hopefully you are already watching my screen, right? It's okay, everything? Can you see my slide?
Yeah, yes, it's okay.
Okay, so let me try to use a laser, something like this. Laser. Okay, laser. Okay. Well, I will try to address the question, the main question, whether the electricity sector can be renewable in the future, in the near future. Well, the answer, I mean, is, I try to do my best to cover this topic in 15 minutes, which is very difficult. But in addition to the electricity sector, considering that in the future the remaining energy sectors will have to be electrified as much as possible, mainly transportation and industry. So I will say a few words also about these sectors to conclude that the answer to the question, which is different from the electricity sector to the other sectors. So this will be basically the contents. Okay, beginning with the electricity sector, I've taken this information from the International Energy Agency Outlook. In the best of its scenarios, which is what they call net zero emission scenario. In this scenario, the electricity will play a major role. The electricity demand will multiply by 2, will be twice as much as today, will be about 50,000 terawatt hours. We will move from around 30% of renewables today, of which this 30% only, let's say, 12% is renewable, is more than renewable, the remaining is hydro. We will move to nearly 90% of renewables, of which 70% will be from wind and solar, which are the most promising renewables, everybody knows. So is it feasible? Are we moving at the right pace? Are we moving sufficiently speed? Okay, so from the nearly 2 terawatts of global installed power today, according to this outlook, we will need to move to 22 terawatts of installed power in 2050, sorry, which means that we will have to multiply by nearly 12 the existing installed power. Okay, are we running quick enough? I mean, this in 2021, for instance, we installed less than 250 gigawatts of wind and solar. In 2022, we installed a little bit more, around 250. But so at this pace, we will need about 90 years, but we only have 30 years from here to 2050. So this means that we will have to speed up the process to increase by 3 times the investment rates on renewables if we want to achieve this goal of having nearly 90% of electricity system renewable. Okay, so the main challenge is in this future in which 90% of electricity is renewable, the main challenge have to do mainly with the 3 points here. All these 3 points are related with energy balance. The energy balance in 3 horizons. There's the millisecond and second horizon, which is the very, very short term, where you need to balance in real time the production and the consumption. This has to do with the problem that renewable lack inertia because they are connected through power converters. They don't have inertia, mechanical inertia, conventional inertia. Also, they don't provide synchronizing power by themselves and also damping power. So this is the basic power in the short term, in the real-time horizon. Then you have the daily horizon in minutes, hours, in which you lack field capacity because suddenly the wind may be missing, or during the night you don't have sun. So also flexibility to cover, to address the more frequent and the deeper demand gradients. For instance, when in the sunset, there is a gradient which is much important and much larger than the current gradient we have in the morning with the conventional demand. So this is a problem. And of course, another major problem is the seasonal imbalance, because we have much more sun in summer than in winter, particularly in higher latitude like Denmark, Germany, and Finland and the like. In the south, we are luckier, but even in the south, there is in Spain, for instance, there is a 60% difference between summer and winter in terms of photovoltaic production. So this is a problem. But besides this energy balance problem, considering that the renewables are more distributed, so longer distances are involved, so there will be additional or increasing network constraints. For instance, at the transmission level, we are suffering the lack of flexibility of AC grids. As you may know, AC grids obey the Kirchhoff's law, and they cannot be, control so much. You can barely control the voltages, but it's difficult or almost impossible to control the power flow in the loops. So this is a problem which needs to be addressed, and we will be increased in our future with many renewables. And at the distribution level, of course, there will be congestions led by high simultaneity factors of new actors like rooftop photovoltaics and electrical vehicle chargers and the like. It will lead to higher simultaneity factors. So this will be a problem also. So these are the main challenges. And the interesting thing is that all those challenges, I will say, that can be addressed technologically speaking. Something different is the investment and the regulation, but this is other speech. As an example of the real-time and daily balance, you can see here in South Australia, for instance, a week. And you can see in green is the wind, in yellow is the PV photovoltaics, and in orange is the fossil. So, and this blue is the interconnection with the remaining state provinces in Australia. So you can see here that one day they have nearly 100% of the demand covered with wind and sun, but 2 days later, there is no wind or no sun. So there's only 2% of renewable. So, and this, also, you can see here that the deep gradients of the gradient to be absorbed by fossil fuel generators, because the sun is missing and the wind is missing here. So this is an illustration of the problem we are facing. We will be facing increasingly. On the daily and seasonal aspect, you can see, for instance, using Germany as an example, you can see here, for instance, that in summer, you may have a lot of wind one day, and you may have basically no wind the next day. But, if you compare summer with winter, there is no sun in winter, basically. You can also not have wind here. So you may have low wind, low sun in winter. So even if you multiply the currently installed power, which is around 120 gigawatts of wind and solar, even if you multiply by 10, it may happen that in winter, you don't have basically sun or wind. So this is a major problem which is to be addressed. I could say many, to illustrate the share of current penetration in many countries, but I have decided to use Spain because some days ago, you may have read in Spain this interesting news that the demand of Spain was 100% covered by wind and solar and bio for 9 hours here in this day. On last Tuesday, we have 9 hours in which photovoltaics, combined solar and wind, everything except for gas and nuclear, cover the demand. Of course, there is some exports which are content. So you need to produce gas and nuclear. This is a technical problem that I don't have time to address this issue, but there are exports and pumping energy to store energy for the nights. But the demand, 100% of the domestic demand was covered for 9 hours with renewable, which is a record. despite the fact that we didn't have hydro in this day. You may know that Spain, other countries in Europe are having a lot of problem with the hydro resources because they saw the drought. You can see that here that the renewable share in Spain has increased for around 45% in 2021 to 50% in 2023, and it is, according to the government plans, 70%, or some people believe nearly 80% of electricity in Spain will be renewable in 2030, despite the fact that Spain is not a very well-connected country with the rest of Europe. These are the technology, as I said before. Fortunately, we already have the required technology to achieve a 100% renewable power system. And this technology have to do in blue, these 4 points in blue have to do with the way we produce, transport, distribute, and consume electricity. For instance, you need a smart renewable generator with grid-forming converters capable of providing synthetic inertia and synchronizing. We need many more interconnection with our neighbors and more powerful using HVDC technology, I mean direct current technology, which allows much longer lines. For instance, in China, you have currently HVDC lines spanning nearly 4,000 kilometers from the west to the huge cities in the east, in the southeast. We need more flexible demand, and this will be achieved thanks to the electromobility, the things that other speakers today will talk, like energy communities and this kind of thing. For instance, residential consumption, we will substitute gas with heat pumps, and this will electrify the consumption on the domestic side, etc. And also digitalization. This is, everybody said this is very important, you know, there's a lot of smart sensors, machine learning, this kind of thing. But this is something out of the scope of my presentation. I don't have time to address everything here, just a summary of the main technology that we allow electricity system to become 100% renewables. Regarding storage, for instance, you know that 95% of storage today is pumping hydro. But the amount of batteries, the battery capacity is increasing very quickly. There are around, worldwide, there are around 100 projects of big batteries. This race started by the end of 2017 in Australia, South Australia. But now you can find huge batteries everywhere, like this, for instance, in California, Pacific Gas and Electric, this 480, nearly 500 megawatt battery. And the funny thing is that, you know, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, we thought that batteries will be only competitive for 15 minutes, you know, of energy. But now we have been moving from 1 hour, the first battery in Australia, to 4-6 hours of energy at rate power, so at rated power. So this is a major movement, which is a consequence of the fact that batteries have decreased their prices by 85-90% in the last decade, much like PV, like photovoltaics. Also, HVDC lines, or cables in this case, are becoming more popular, not only in China, but also in many places. For instance, these are 2 projects which are, you know, under consideration. This project linking the north of Australia with Singapore, that width is over 4,000 kilometers, capable of transmitting around 20 gigawatts of solar energy, and, you know, will be a lot of storage also in the north of Australia, right? And more recently, the UK has announced this cable linking the UK with the south of Morocco, which is a place where there's a lot of wind and solar resources, as you know. So this is something also currently undergoing. And the only problem with this kind of cable is the depth of the ocean. Here in some places you need to take, I mean, this is the main challenge is the depth of the ocean, not the length. So the length is no longer a problem. And hopefully we could link, for instance, North America with Europe eventually. So this will take longer, but this is also a possibility, technically speaking. So in a nutshell, in my opinion, the electricity sector can be totally renewable, let's say, in 20 or 30 years. What about the remaining sector? I mean, you can see here that electricity is only around 20% of final energy. Final energy, electricity is only 20%. So what about the remaining consumption, which is still with fossil fuels? Okay, so this is more difficult, much more difficult. The final energy has been multiplied by over 2 in the last 50 years. So this is a lot of a problem. And I'm using here the US, the energy flows in the US, just as an example, but in Europe, we would have similar diagram. This is called Sankey diagram, which is very popular to explain how energy is converted and transformed. So in this case, there are around 100 quads. 1 quad is around 1 exajoule or nearly 300 terawatt hours. So this is nearly 100. Every number here is basically in percent. So this is basically 36% electricity generation. Transportation is 27% of the gross energy. So you can see here, for instance, that to begin with, 1/3 of the energy is lost in the transformation sector. In transforming the primary energy to final energy, 1/3 of the energy is lost, basically in electricity production. But another third of energy, of final energy, is lost for useful energy and energy consumption. So 2/3 of energy are lost, which is very, very inefficient. This is the energy system we have enjoyed for 150 years now. So, and this is what we are trying to change. But this is very difficult, particularly, as I told before, residential, we change gas by heat pumps, will be essentially can be electrified, but the most difficult sectors are industry and transportation. So transportation is progressing very, very fast in the last 2 or 3 years, but it has been very, the car manufacturers, has interest in their business model, in keeping their business models. So they have confronted and we have tried to resist this wave, but now fortunately, they are announcing a lot of electric models, a lot of investment on electrifying the transportation, light duty vehicle, basically, air transportation and naval ship transportation is more difficult. So, but for instance, the number of electric vehicles have multiplied by over 3 in the last 3 years, from 7 million to 26 million, the electrical vehicle stock. And according to Bloomberg, in 2040, we will have the sales of electric vehicle will be around 70% or more. And even in 2023, the sales of electric vehicle, including plugging, is nearly 20%. So this is progressing quickly, but still lagging the development in the power sector. Regarding the industry, there is a lot of problems. I don't have time to address all of them. But in my opinion, the most important problem of this hydrogen economy, in which many stakeholders are now betting and putting the efforts, I think the most important problem is the one related with the efficiency, the very low efficiency of the whole hydrogen cycle. For instance, if you get 100 kilowatt hours of renewable energy, if you try to move a car with fuel cell, the overall efficiency is 20%. If you try to produce back electricity with fuel cell as energy storage, the efficiency is also very low. If you want to produce ammonia, for instance, the efficiency depends on whether you produce ammonia locally without transportation or remotely. If you have to transport hydrogen, for instance, this hydrogen duct that Spain is planning with France and Germany and the like, then the efficiency will be very, very low. So if you produce energy locally, the efficiency will increase. Anyway, so this means that if we rely on a hydrogen economy, we will have to oversize the renewable power plants. So this is a problem, in my opinion. And to finish my presentation, I just using similar to the US Sankey diagram. I'm using this Sankey diagram in 2020 to be compared with the Sankey diagram in 2050. So in 2020, we have already seen that, for instance, electricity is basically between 20 and 25% of the total final energy. You know, oil, coal, and gas is a prominent, you know, it's a significant amount, 75%. You know, there is no so much bioenergy. Bioenergy is here, but it's not so much. And, you know, the final consumption is split among transportation, industry, and buildings here. This is what we currently have. This is the outlook of the think tank DNV-GL, but basically the same conclusions are obtained if you take a look at the International Energy Agency, Bloomberg, whatever, many other think tanks. So in 2050, it's surprising to see that, yes, electricity has increased its role significantly here, but still we can see a lot of fossil fuels here, despite all the efforts in electricity and the like, despite the hydrogen production is very small, according to this outlook in 2050. Either use directly a hydrogen in the industry or in the transportation sector as ammonia or methanol, for instance. So the hydrogen is still very modest because it will take probably 1 decade to be mature to all the required technology. So apparently all actors, all stakeholders think that there is a significant, even the IPCC believe that we will have a strong reliance on carbon capture and storage, which unfortunately is still an undeveloped technology. We still have to create, to invent carbon capture and storage that, you know, which are efficient, safe, and the like. So to finish this presentation, yes, the electricity sector can be 100% renewable. Technically speaking, it is feasible, but the remaining sector will not be, at least in 2050. Something different, I don't know, by the end of the century. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antonio, for your robust analysis. As you said, 50 minutes is too short to say all the key factors in this energy transition or possibilities. But you open seasonal energy balance, lack of flexibility. Yes, this is the core. But if we hypnotize different technologies, especially during excess of energy, if we have a lot of sunny days, we know that the enigma is to store the energy. So maybe we need the hypnotisation of new kind of technologies like photovoltaics, giga batteries, hydrogen also. But what I have seen, for example, if I compare to Middle East nowadays, what is happening, they install just 300 megawatts each year for testing. So new latest photovoltaics just for testing as experiment. So imagine this huge potential in gigawatts excess of energy during this, and we have a lot of concept each day or each week. Some scientists develop a new, like during excess of energy, they put energy into the silo full of sand, and sand is in 500 degrees Celsius, and is also not just for hours, like gigawatts for hours, but it's for weeks and months maybe. So yes, we can discuss later on. Thank you once more, Antonio. And now we move to Roberto, to different perspectives. So, and Roberto, floor is yours now.
Thank you, Marut. I will try to share my presentation. Let me see. Let's go. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the Uliseus Compass teams that led us to organize this webinar. I'm very pleased to share this virtual table with two colleagues of the University of Seville, Professors Gómez-Expósito and Arcos-Vargas, and with my colleague of the University of Graz in Public Law and friend, Maria Bertel. Thank you everywhere. If we had organized this webinar a few years ago, I won't say 10 years, but 5 years or even less, probably people can call or should call us as crazy, or that we have taken this title from the Jules Verne book. But fortunately, as the Professor Gómez-Expósito have already explained us, 100% energy system, renewable energy system, is not only technically feasible, even is economical sustainable, and this is very important. I will speak. I am professor of law around the role of the European regulation in the energy transition. This is a key piece of what I have done. You can see my presentation.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Just cancel it. So please share it.
Something wrong. May I come back?
Yes, now it's moving on.
Well, here we go. Now you can see.
Yes.
Okay. I follow with my presentation. Well, I will develop three key points in my speech: the binomial European Union and energy, then the support of renewable energy in a liberalized energy market, the reaction of the European Union caused due the successive economic crisis we have suffered in the last decades, and to this, what are the perspectives for new regulations in the European Union legal framework. I will finish with a very short conclusion. Well, we can say that the energy is in the DNA of the European Union, the current European Union, oldest economic European communities. The first economic European community was the economy of the coal and the steel. There are two main raw materials in this age. And the second one, or the third, that depends, we see, was the Euratom, the nuclear energy, regarding nuclear energy. This seems that the European Union has a lot to do with the energy sector. There are 1 year before Christus and after Christus. It was in the 19th of the last century when began the liberalization process in all over Europe. This liberalization took place at the same time with the with the start of a very strong mechanism of support of energy renewable. Start around 2001. This is very funny. Well, I have to highlight that in the present days, the European Union, the states have transferred to the European Union the attribution in energy, the shared attribution. That means that the European Union was able to adopt all the radical and exceptional measures have taken in the last years. Well, and I see it's a paradoxal that in a free market, in the very liberalized market, like the electric sector, there is also a sector. This is support with public aids regarding to the renewable energy. This is I have to highlight one very recent judgment from 2003, January 2003. In this judgment, the changing their initial opinion, the Judge of Justice of the European Union has said that all these public mechanisms of support are state. That means that the Commission, the European Commission, have to authorize this state before start in each country of the European Union. Well, in fact, it has been the European Union who has promoted the renewable energy. In the first directive of renewable energy in 2001, the target was 10% indicative. In the second directive, 2009, it has passed. The target was 20%, and this was a mandatory target for all countries in the European Union. And the current directive from 2018 marks a target of 32% in the final consumption of energy. This is not a national mandatory target, but global in all European Union. Now, the European Commission is in the way to raise this target to 40 and probably even more in the next years. And I have to say that in Spain now this mandatory target is 40 in our national energy internal plan. We have to, as every country in the European Union, have to approve in the 22. Well, now the renewable energy have a privileged legal framework. It means, for example, that Science 2.9, the renewable sources have a priority to access to the grid. I appoint this judgment, very recent, from April 2033, that the Court of Justice has said that in an everyday supply, only the renewable energy, the electricity coming from renewable energy, are allowed to have this priority, not the coming from the conventional fuels. Well, as the Professor Gómez-Expósito have already said, to allow the massive incorporation of the renewable energy in our electric energy system, we have to make a very huge investment in networks that must be intelligent, must be smart, and also we have to improve the interconnection between the state members. Spain, as Professor Gómez-Expósito have already said, Spain is far away from the 15% of the connection that marks the regulation of 2009, the governance of the European Union. And this is a very the bottleneck of our current system, electricity in Spain. Well, what have we done in the last years? What have we done in the legal aspect in the last year? In November 2019, when this commission, the current commission, European Commission, start his mandate, we approved the Green Deal. The Green Deal was the roadmap for the Commission for the next 5 years. Unfortunately, after this approval, came the crisis of the pandemic, of the COVID, and that was the first time the European Union put in march a very huge plan, economic plan, for next generation funds, in which the renewable energy will take a very important place as well. Well, after this has came the crisis due for the invasion of Ukraine, the illegal invasion, the wild invasion of Ukraine by the Russian Federation. And what have we done in the last years? As I told at the beginning, this has been able because we have attributed to the European Union attribution, special attribution in the legal in the energy field. First of all, we have launched a new plan, the Repower EU plan, with 300 billion euros. It means that all these projects in renewable energy can have the money, the finances they need to be put in march. Second, there are a regulation for 2022, December 2022, laying down the framework to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy. In this regulation, it's very important, the European Union remove the administrative and also the environmental barriers that face this kind of projects. And for the first time in the European environmental law, it allows the positive silence, administrative silence, in this kind of projects that are under the 50 megabytes. That means that this kind of procedure, this administrative procedure, can go not so slow that in the recent times. Another initiative, this is the situation of the renewable energies in Europe in the current moment. We have done something very, very difficult. We have cut the use of the oil and the gas coming from Russia. Yes, you can see the great effort Europe has made in the last year, only last year, to change this oil and gas scenario. And we have also approved, the European Union have approved a gas storage plan that had allowed to pass this winter without any great difficulties. Well, one more. In June 2020, Portugal and Spain have got from the Commission, from the European Commission, the so-called the Iberian exception. It means that in the Professor Arcos-Vargas will explain us this more in details. It means that if we if we reach the price of 75 euros, the gas, this top the price, and the other supplies won't earn more money, the 75 euros, and you have to say that we have had low prices than the rest of Europe, according to this extension. And the European Commission has generalized these mechanisms, approving in December 2022 this temporary market correction mechanism. In this case, the top of this price is not 75, but 180 euros. This means that over 180 euros, the fines are stopped. More investment in infrastructure, in particular in international electrical integration. Professor Gómez-Expósito has spoken about connection with hydrogen between Spain, France, and Germany. It's the way to get to allow the solidarity in energy competence. It will be took place. This is the interconnection. It is a huge both in green hydrogen potential. That means that in the current years, in the future years, I think I don't know if there are 30, 20 or 10 years, but the green hydrogen can substitute in the future the fossil oils we use in the present days. There is, in my opinion, and I know this is a very controversial question, in my opinion, a black dot or a regression in this policy, this energy policy that the European Union has put in march in the last year. Is the assimilation to the clean energy to the nuclear power. I think, in my opinion, this will distance us from the searched decarbonized system energy in the future. But I know that we are in a very, very complicated situation, and maybe these are useful. Well, this is the message of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear stage power. I think this is in the present moment the highest risk we face in the environmental aspect. If we bet in the nuclear power, maybe we can have more Zaporizhzhias in the future. I think this is not the way we have to face this problem. Well, and what's next? We have seen what the European Union has made in the last decade to face several crises, several economic crises, and to face one very big problem. It's mean the risk provoked by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Well, in March 2023, the European Commission, the Energy Commissioner, Kadri Simpson of Lithuania, have proposed several reforms who are in the same way to promote the renewable energy, to the deployment of the renewable energy in Europe. That means that fits in 3 points. The European Union best for the promotion of long-term electricity supplies. That means that something that's very known all over the world, the PPA, the Power Purchase Agreement, took place in Europe. That means that the companies who are very intensive in electricity consumption can guarantee a fixed price for the electricity for a long period of time. The second measure that will be taking place in the next month is the introduction that's called bilateral contracts for difference, say CFD. It means that the electricity, the clean electricity generators, the state will fix a price for all the production, and if in the market the price is higher, they will give to the state this excess. The state can use for many things, for to lower the electricity price, or even to give support to the vulnerable consumers. That is also one of the goals that the European Union also follow with this kind of legislation. And at last, this is very, very important point. We have to control the electricity market with, of course, with the what call the capacity systems. It means when there are a high demand and low offer, there are a high consumer, intensive consumer that can stop their production. And there is a flexibility for the grid, and also the start of the fossil supplier to start to produce electricity in the market. And of course, the dream that we all have now to have a very strong surge system of electricity that can substitute the alternative of this lack of manageability of the many of the clean energy in the current moment. Well, yeah, to finish, I will set a few conclusions. The first is in the current moment, the guarantee of energy independence has been added to the fights against climate change as a justification for supporting the expansion of renewable energy in the European Union. Yes, not only it's a goal to fight against the climate change, also a geostrategic goal for the European Union. Second conclusion, this to have a 100 renewable energy system, we have to invest a huge sum of money in electricity transmission and distribution network. This is essential, included the electricity integration between the state members. This can be, if you allow me, Maros, we can do everything everywhere all at once. The Oscar Isaac film said in his title. We have to do this change, as Professor Gómez-Expósito already said, we have to do gradually and to incorporate this kind of energy supply when the grid support this change. This must be in a long time, years. If I pointed, in my opinion, is a regression to assimilate the nuclear power with the clean energy. In my opinion, this will be an error, and this will distance the goal to achieve in 2050 the decarbonization system all over Europe. And for the end, I would say that for all of this goal we have, we need a very legal, stable legal framework. In Spain, unfortunately, we have done not very well in the last decade in the field of the energy renewable to guarantee the companies and the investors in this. We need a lot of investment in the next years. We have to have a very stable and clear legal framework. Without this legal framework, I think it will be impossible to achieve these so important goals. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Roberto, for your view on regulatory framework, which is crucial to enforce a real business case. As you say, as a key seems existence of intelligent electric networks. Indirectly, it was said also by Antonio shortly on one slide. So if will be a question at the end, we will be back in topic. Yeah. Okay, so now I give a word to Ángel Arcos-Vargas and focusing on economical analysis or aspects. So please, Ángel, floor is yours.
Thank you, Maros. Well, give me a minute for sharing my screen. Could you see it, Maros?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Great.
Well, today I am going to speak about the influence of the renewable energy in the electricity price. My presentation is going to have two parts. In the first part, we are going about the structure of the industry, the market, and the technology. And in the second part, we are going to have an approach to what happens when the share of renewable energy is increasing, as Antonio has mentioned before, and we expect that it increase much more. And for finishing, well, last conclusion or concerns, perhaps. This is the structure of the electricity industry, the electrical industry. So we can see that it's not an easy structure. It's a very complex system, and it's complex from a lot of point of view. It's from a legal, as Roberto has mentioned before, has a lot of points that we need to know well. From a technical point of view, is, as Antonio Gómez-Expósito has mentioned before, has a lot of issues that we should, well, it's true that the technology can do that, but we have to study and to go in depth. But from an economic point of view, there are a lot of points that we should highlight too. Here, we can see that there are 3 or 4 different markets or systems. In the green area, we can see the generation and the customer and the suppliers that are, well, normal market, normal structure, where the perfect competition should perform. And the green area, the transmission and distribution, well, is a natural monopoly. So this is a regulated market. So we are in front of a market where there are many different structure of markets, where we are not managing with a normal product. We are trading an essential product, the electricity is, or the energy is. There are the use of public resources, the public rights, and there are externalities, a lot of externalities, positive and negative, and environmental use. Additionally, this activity has a high impact in the economy, in the GDP, and the growth, and the employment, and in the investment. It's highly intensive industry. So it's a not simple system, and we only have 10 minutes to try to understand. In the case of Spain, we are speaking about over 50 billion euros, that is higher than the GDP of about 100 countries in the world. It's a lot of money. It's about the 5% of the Spanish GDP. Is well, there is a very expensive or with high cost industry. Well, this is about the system. About the market, normally in journalists and in the TV program speak about the electrical market. In fact, there is not a single market. There are at least 6 different markets for different terms. Well, Roberto has mentioned before about the previous day, the PAP and the CFT, the contract for difference, that is the derivative long terms. There are another, the most important, that is the one that we are going to explore later, that is the day-ahead market, that there is 3 different markets, and the real-time market, that is just for the technical problem, for the operation issues. Well, the most important of this market is the day-ahead market, where the 75% of the energy are traded. In Europe, well, in Spain and in Europe and in most of the countries in the world, we work in a marginalist model. What it means? Well, as all the markets that we know, there are a supply curve, and demand curve. And the equilibrium, we achieve the equilibrium where these 2 curves match. Here we can see the demand curve, where, well, they are here an horizontal part, an horizontal segment, where that is normally the residentials, and another that is the big customer that is with a negative slope curve. Well, we built this curve sorting all the demands, the highest to the lowest, and the demand, the price that they offer to buy is their willingness to pay. On the other hand, we have the curve of the supply curve, where we can see here the different technologies. Well, here we can see the first, we order or offer are sorted in order from the lowest to the highest. Here we can see that. And in the marginalist model, the economic theory say that this offer should be the short-term marginal cost. That is the cost that they need to spend to produce, in this case, 1 megawatt hours. This, I'm sorry, this market is celebrated each hour. Each hour, the generators and the consumer should give how much and how many energy and money they want to pay and to accept. Here we can see with higher details that we can introduce here the power plants with low marginal cost, that is normally the renewables and nuclear, the hydro, and well, at the end, here we should introduce the conventional plant, gas, coal, and we have to pay here to the CO2 emission allowance that is part of the cost of these power plants, of these facilities. Regarding the technology, I would like to highlight that the technology, the renewable technology, as Antonio has mentioned before, well, has decreasing a lot. This is the Lazard report about the LCOC, that is the cost of the energy, the average cost of producing 1 megawatt hour. And here we can see the yellow line is the PV, the photovoltaic, the solar units, where the cost has decreased more than 90% in the last 10 years. That is an amazing quantity. While the other, the blue one, that is the wind, has decreased too. Nowadays, the two cheapest technology are wind and PV and photovoltaic. So this technology have some point to understand. It's not the same quality of energy, the traditional, the conventional power plant, but this is nowadays are the cheaper technology. What happened in other countries when the share of renewable increase? Here we have, for one study of Good and McKenzie and the NCTCO, the case of UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain. And here we can see for each day, these are average day price here in this X, and the penetration of renewable in each hour. So we can see here, this is a descriptive analysis, it's not an analytic or quantitative analysis. We can see that in the last year, the days with lower share of renewable presented highest prices, and the price go down at the same the lower, better, the higher share of renewable is the lower prices of the electricity market. Why? And now we are going to start with the quantitative approach. Well, here we have the same figure that we have used before to explain the market, the marginal market, the marginalist market. And here we can see the in this. Oh, yes, and now here we can see the variable renewable, the renewables. Here we have one quantity of renewables, and we change with the same structure, ceteris paribus, as the economist said, we increase the quantity, the share of renewable that there is in the market. From making the comparative statics, it is this increase of renewable power plants is equivalent to move the supply curve to the right. So, some years ago, we analyzed the effect that it could be in the Spanish market. This is real. This is a real hours, but we studied in this paper what could be the effects to increase about 4,000 megawatts. That was an action that the Spanish government made in 2017. What could be the effect that this new energy, this new renewable energy could have in the market? So this is the blue one is the original supply curve. The red one is the new or the future supply curve, assuming that all of this energy has offered at its short-term marginal cost, as the microeconomy tell us, and we analyze what could be the impact in the market. And here we can see that each 25 megawatt hour installed of PV, the price of the market will go down in about 2 cents of euros. And additionally, there are a lot of saving in emissions. Each 25 megawatt hour will have an impact, a reduction of 50 tons of CO2 for the planet. So this introduces, or this increasing of the shares of renewable will have an impact in the electricity price and in the planet, in the emission of the country. What are my concerns? Because up to this moment, we should be more happy. Because we are going to pay less money for the electricity that we use at home. And on the other hand, the air that we are around us will be cleaner. So, the impact could be nice. Well, my concern is about the future. If we will have a system, as Antonio has said, that is possible, and I agree with him absolutely, that it's possible to manage a system with 100% renewables. If the market performs with the same rules, all of these facilities should offer at is short-term marginal cost. So probably the price will be about zero in the market. This is a very intensive capital industry, there will be no incentive to build, to develop, to operate, and to produce energy. So all the companies that are operating in the market, won't be feasible. And so, we have to change the rules of the market. The current marginalist market, perform very well with a system, with facility, with technologies of high marginal costs. But we choose to rethink the market to avoid this collapse. And in the last 100 years, all the electrical system has been thought to have demand. The demand was a date of the problem, and the generation was the variable that we should generate to match that. Well, perhaps the next problem, the next topics, the next issue should be to have more flexibility to the market to adapt our consumption at the times and the hours when we can obtain a cheap energy as renewable is, when we have wind, when we have sun. And that all, I think that is a good idea, a good news, but perhaps we should rethink the market to make that it will be possible. Thank you. And Roberto, today I didn't speak about the Iberian exception. We could speak about it in another moment. Thank you, Maros.
Thank you, Ángel, for a very important question, very complex one. Maybe we need to refocus and rethinking to regional potentials, not a general approach here, but we have environmental issues, we have different energy mix across member states. We know when we have gigawatts of excess of energy in the short term, we need interconnection, some budget for service. So I hope all these are in your future scenarios and economic models. And maybe will be some questions later on. But now it is a pleasure for me to introduce Maria Bertel and her focus on energy communities and much more. So please, Maria, you can share presentation now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be on the panel with all of you. I'm part of a project called EC², Energy Citizenship and Energy Communities for a Clean Energy Transition. So I will be speaking less about the general regulatory framework and put the focus more on the individual, on the normal citizen, if you want so, and we want to see what renewable energy communities can contribute to 100% renewable energy market. You can see here on the first slide not only my name, but also the name of Nega Gesel-Seeflo. She's a postdoc in our project in EC², and I'm presenting results we have elaborated together. So it is just fair that she appears here as well. And she is currently preparing our second energy community academy. You will have a link on the last slide. You are all very warmly welcome to join. We have several upcoming events, also self-learning material, a homepage. So if you're interested in the topic of energy communities, just check that out. And next week is our next webinar. So what will I be talking about in the next, maybe 10 minutes? I want to give you a bit of a background on energy citizenship and energy communities. And then I will focus on challenges and maybe also some recommendations. In the end, I will give some conclusions, and the conclusions, especially the conclusions, will link my speech to the technical and the economic side of the topic, which I think is really important. I want to start with repeating what Roberto has already said, because he said, and I think this is really important, that the topic of energy lies in or is part of the DNA of the EU. If we talk about electricity, if we talk about energy, if we talk about the transport sector, we are talking about European markets. So it is not enough anymore to only look at the nation states or the national legal systems, but we really need a stable legal framework. That's also what Roberto has said already. And a stable legal framework is only possible with a stable and good EU legal framework. So I will start with the part on energy communities. What you can see here in this picture is maybe kind of a romantic picture we, at least in Austria, have in mind when we think about energy communities. And I have to add that Austria has very much advanced already with the idea of energy communities. We have many energy communities in Austria already, and so part of the picture is true. And what you can see here, and what I would like to emphasize, it is not only about the electricity market, but it's also about transport, charging your car, because the technical and economic insights we've already had, they show us we lose lots of energy. It's not only the electricity sector, it's also transport. It's also what Professor Arcos has said in his conclusions. It's also about adapting our consumption. So this picture should somehow express that it's not electricity alone. So I'm talking about energy communities, and the question is, what is an energy community? The energy community is a legal concept, and we can find it in 2 EU directives. On the one hand, we have the citizen energy community, and on the other hand, we have the renewable energy community, which I will talk about mainly. What is the difference? There are several differences, but I think what is important here is that the citizen energy community is not limited it's not limited to renewable sources. It's technology neutral, if you want so, whereas the renewable energy community is really about renewable sources, and at the moment that's, at least for Austria, mainly photovoltaics, as we have seen in the picture. And that's maybe also something I would like to emphasize. If energy communities shall form or shall really support the energy or the electricity market in the future, if we want to move on to a clean energy system, we also have to think, especially in the north, we also have to think about other renewable sources also for energy communities. What might also be of interest is that energy communities are there, and that's what the EU directives tell us, to generate a social and an environmental profit rather than a financial profit. So that might be a tension towards the topic of today regarding the electricity market. So here we are not really in, or at least the directives suggest that we are not directly in a market logic, but that the advantage should be rather social and environmental than financial. So this is still, and if we think about Roberto asking for or demanding for a stable legal framework, this is still a topic of debate. What does that mean? Because of course, financial or expecting financial profits can be also a big motivation to invest in an energy community. So what is the legal situation right now? I've already said that we have an EU legal framework providing for these legal entities, energy communities, but since it is directives that give us this concept of energy communities, the directives have to be transposed into the legal system of the member states. I said Austria is quite advanced in that, but there are other member states of the EU where no transposition, no implementation has taken place. So then in the technical sense, energy communities are not possible. There are still similar constructs in some member states, self-consumption, for example, but all the benefits energy communities bring with, that is generation, aggregation of energy, storage of energy, distribution of energy, energy sharing. This is not possible in all the member states. So that's a big obstacle, I think, that we have here different speed also of transposition. And in the next few slides, I've just listed some challenges we are still facing when it comes to energy communities and the inclusion of citizens, because energy community means that citizens themselves can participate in the energy market. They can share in the community. They can share energy. They can store energy together. They can consume energy. So there are advantages being part of an energy community, and it is the integration of the citizen in the electricity or energy market. The citizen is transforming from a mere consumer into, sometimes we say, into a prosumer, into a participant. But for being part of an energy community, you need the legal entity itself, which is part of the second bullet point of this slide. So you have to think about which entity, which form you want to give your energy community. You need a generation plant because, or at least some facility, a battery to store energy. So you can see already this goes far beyond energy law. It's also about the notion of property you have in a certain member states. And so although we have a general EU frame of energy communities, there might be different concepts in different member states. We have already heard some, I just name it, technical restrictions regarding renewable energy sources like the sun, especially from the Austrian perspective. Sun is not shining during the winter or is very weak. But we also have, and that's the last bullet point here, we have fluctuations in energy consumption, and that's really also a challenge for energy communities, that if I find like-minded people, we go to work during the day and in the evening we want to consume energy. This is something that won't really work. We really have to, it might be through digital solutions that we also use, or that we are more flexible in our energy consumption. Yeah, and the last point also, challenges, we still do not have a complete smart meter rollout. We are quite well in Austria, but we know from other member states that this is not the case. And the situation regarding information for interested citizens is still not the best. So what about the future? There are many ideas, and I put some logos here of sister projects. There are many ideas of how to make it easier to be part of an energy community. That leads me to my conclusions. But we also have to see whether, or acknowledge that law will not provide the solution. We really need to talk to each other like we do it here on this panel. We have to talk about technical issues. We have grid stability, for example, is also for Austria, where the grid is, I would say, quite well, but this is still an issue. We have to talk about the market, if the market can still work. And I think we also have to talk about social issues, energy poverty. So I really think as a lawyer, it is, we somehow have a duty to talk to other disciplines, because law in the end can help to design the future market, but the aims we have to politically agree upon in a democracy. And I think it's also important to only agree on aims we can also achieve from the technical side. So I think dialogue is really something we need. And this leads me back to Roberto's presentation. When we look at the proposal for a regulation amending, amongst others, the directives I have mentioned, where we find also the energy communities, we can see that the EU is acknowledging that energy sharing will be important in the future, but it's also the plan to not only make energy sharing possible within energy communities, but to extend to provide citizens with more possibilities, because in the end, and put in very easy words, I think that energy communities, they are a good idea. They can, or they give possibilities to interested citizens to participate in the energy transition, but they are still, at least from a legal point of view, they're still quite complicated, and for the normal citizen, they request quite some work, and I also think a high motivation to be part of an energy community. That is why, for example, in Austria, it is mainly municipalities, local governments that push for energy communities, and that might also be something to think about in the future. I'm very curious for your questions, and here again, I invite you to also check out our project EC Square. and to join our Energy Academy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Maria, for your contribution. You are coming from Graz, which has tradition, and you have a scientific infrastructure for these new technologies. So we detect that you are helping much, contributing to this topic. And all you have mentioned, like seasonality, each member state has different focus or approach, flexibility, lack of regulation. This was also mentioned during several presentations today. So we are talking about energy today. We have touched concept, solutions, challenges, recommendation, but also prediction. So I would like to check a question arising from this all your presentation, and maybe the first one will follow directly after your presentation. Maybe for all experts, the question is for this or these energy communities will be part for solution, and what kind of our solution we needed to make it more feasible and be in Europe more energy secure and so on. So it's like one general question for all of you, but maybe Maria, your upper, because was last question in your presentation.
Yes, I really, thanks for the question. I really think we need also more flexibility regarding legal forms, for example, for energy sharing. But what I would emphasize, and it's not part of my presentation, is how to save energy. And I was really impressed by the chart Professor Gómez-Expósito has given to us. When we see how much energy we lose, I think it would be really necessary to think about how to save energy or not to lose it.
Okay, thank you. Maybe if some of our experts can say something on this.
Okay, I may say something. I mean, in terms of regulation or in terms of policy, I think also there's a big problem now, a huge problem now everywhere in Europe and in the USA also, of this big pipeline of projects that need connection to the transmission grids. I mean, there's a lot of bureaucracy, difficulties, and needs that the TSOs, the transmission system operator, analyze the request for connection, these kind of things. So this takes a while. It takes many years now. So in Spain, for instance, we have now around 40 gigawatts of wind and 20 gigawatts of PV, plus 5 gigawatts rooftop PV. But now there are over 100 gigawatts waiting in the pipeline, and the same happens in the USA and many other countries. So I think the European Union and policymakers in general, everywhere, should somehow find a solution, find a way of speeding up this, slow process and this kind of getting permission, getting everything. Because otherwise, I mean, it will be impossible to reach the goal, the net zero by 2050 and the like. So this is one of the major things we're still lacking. And it is from the regulatory point of view. From the technical point of view, I was, very, very clearly, power electronics is a very important aspect. These grid forming converters and trying to emulate it, synchronizing and the like. Direct current and high voltage lines, HVDC, is also very important. And of course, storage, battery, new batteries, more efficient batteries, cheaper batteries, long-lasting batteries like flow batteries and the like. And that's all from this.
Yeah, thank you. It's all need huge investment. So as you say, it's not day-to-day basis. We need some time to invest and to rebuild infrastructure because we know that we have in short term very huge excess of energy, but we are not able to flexibly regulate it across member state, for example. Yeah, so it's one of a key issue to detect. But there is one question from audience for Ángel Arcos-Vargas. If I should, so following this logic of cannibalization presented in a system with high penetration of renewables, the price will be close to zero from your expectation. So who will pay the bill, and what incentives will there be to invest, operate, and maintain? So these are like two questions arising.
Yes, Maros, this is a tough question because, this is a very intensive capital industry, so somebody should have to pay the bill. Well, the first step is, as Maria has said, is to reduce the consumption. If we consume less, well, the bill will be lower, of course. But I think that we should think in a different model of markets. We are working with the Oxford Energy Institute to develop a double market system, one for renewable and another for the conventional powers, because other possibility could be, as Roberto has mentioned, to foster the presence of the PAP or the CFD and the derivative market for the energy, and to not to pay the marginal cost that probably will be owed, but to assure a quantity of money for the producer that cover their costs and obtain reasonable profits that, that aims to them to invest, to operate, and to develop new devices, new installation, new facilities. Because on the other hand, I don't know how long can run the current model.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe we pay more for a service because we build new infrastructure with some capex.
Yes, well, it makes sense. Perhaps we should change the way of think. For perhaps the product is not the energy, the service. And the service is like some years ago with your mobile, we pay for the calls, and now, well, most of us, we pay for a fix for all the service during all the month. Well, I think that we should rethink the market and to rethink the rules of the game in order to assure the future of the sustainability, but not only the environmental sustainability, the economic, the financial sustainability of the business that work around the energy market.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, there's one more question, maybe the last one because of time going. Or there is another approach.
Yes, sorry. It's funny because I always, when I participate in this kind of events, I always or very often make the same question: who will pay the bill? And it's, I think it's the point, no? For sure, we have to change the structure of our market. And if the conventional swaps disappear from the market, we have to create a new rule to determine the price. This is obvious. We can have a market with zero prices. This is not possible. But on the other hand, I think that we should make this question in another way. Who pay now the bill? Now the bill they are paying by the consumers, of course, and also by the citizen paying the taxes. For me, the answer for the first question is very clear. The same people will be the bill in the future, the citizens, the consumers, and we without taxes. I think we have to think that in the last few years, we have had the highest prices of electricity in the history. And this also with the highest profit of the electricity companies. We have to rethink as citizens, as well as the European Communion, this is something that we have to keep for all over the world. And I think this is the main rule of the European regulation, to make a legal framework capable to keep the investment in the electricity market. This is quite fundamental, but not only to generate profits to the energy companies, also to the citizens. This is, I think, the key point. The European Union have to find this kind of equilibrium. This is the main thing we have to look for in the next years. This is my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Maybe I add one more, because and interlink, because as you mentioned, citizens pay taxes. Citizens pay taxes for municipalities also. And the question arising here, it's previously to Mario, a part of citizen. Which role do municipalities play in energy communities, and which role do you expect municipalities will play in the future? So maybe this is like another answer, but partly municipalities will pay new infrastructure, and they reduce energy fees and be modern and more healthy, because if you apply electromobility in a whole city, you will have a clean environment, a clean air with no health issues. So maybe it's my answer, but if Maria, you can join.
Yes, I really think that we need to, yes, also look at decentralized models, since also from the technical side, we are talking about the decentralized system. Large transport, I mean, transport of energy makes energy being lost. So I really think we need to think about local and regional solutions. And what you have said, Maros, is, I think, yes, I would agree with that.
Thank you. So if there is some final remarks from a panel of experts, last remarks? If there is not the case, so we finish webinar, and once more thank you for your excellent contribution, and hope to see in the next webinar or physically in some event regarding renewable energy. So thank you all, also participants online, and thank you, Odysseus. See you.
Thank you.